What's up, guys? So this week so far, once again, here's an SCP Foundation video. We look at SCP-4258, Freddy's Diner. Just like an SCP that we've looked at so far, it's gonna be something just over the top, ridiculous, because people's imaginations are literally limitless when it comes to this verse, which is a-okay in my book because these SCPs are all so unique and so cool. It's probably gonna be some super demon thing that's just gonna like eat people or trick them and make them come in and then just devour them. Who knows? It's just gonna be completely messed up. It's all I know. It's gonna be completely messed up. Considering that every SCP we've seen so far has been pretty messed up. So I'm definitely looking forward to it though, since it's Dr. Bob. He does a phenomenal job with all his videos. Speaking of that too, his original video will be in the description. Please check him out. Just like any other creator, they take a lot of time to take all this information, all this lore, and make it to an easy to understand video for everyone to react to, everyone to watch. And without them, I wouldn't be able to do any of these videos. So show him some love. And also he does animation, which I would guess takes quite a bit of time and effort. So he deserves even more because he does the extra step beyond. So show him some love. Again, original video will be in the description. If you guys enjoy my content, if you guys enjoy my reactions, please leave a like and subscribe. Let's get to it.
The trucker tumbles to the greasy floor of the diner, thrown out of his booth, only to come crashing down before he can regain his footing. He'd be climbing back to his feet, ready to square up to the patron who has just hurled him, but staring up at them has made him freeze on the spot. As he lies on the diner floor, the trucker's eyes lock on to the bizarre horror towering over him. It looks like a huge fleshy mess, more akin to a chewed-up wad of gum than a living being. It's nearly impossible to differentiate what parts of its head are facial features. Is the mouth right there in the center? Or is it one of the various other strange and inexplicable orifices? Does it even have a mouth? And where are its eyes? Does it have the standard human too? Or does it see by smelling sounds or tasting the air? And are those tusks? They are. The trucker has only stopped off for a hot cup of coffee and a bite to eat. Now he's facing off against a puzzling creature ripped straight out of a David Cronenberg movie. But then again, that's what he gets for stopping off at Freddy's Diner. It all begins a few moments prior. The trucker is at the wheel, exhausted but making good time on a long haul across the interstate. Thanks to life on the road, he's been lucky enough to see much more of the country than most, driving from the West Coast to the East Coast and back again plenty of times. And being so familiar with his routes, the trucker has his very own curated list of the best places to eat while on the road. He double-checks the time and realizes he's got plenty to spare, so decides to make a quick detour and heads towards a little-known roadside restaurant, Freddy's Diner. The trucker still remembers the previous time he took a pit stop in Freddy's place. It never ceases to amaze him that it even exists. After all, there's not another diner like it, from here in California to the truck stops over in New Jersey. And the trucker knows he'd pick Freddy's Diner over any maritime-themed novelty seafood place. He likes going there so much, he's even kept it a secret from his fellow truckers on the road. He'd simply hate for everyone to start piling over there and turning his favorite spot into a rowdy trucker hangout or tourist attraction. Pulling his truck up outside, the trucker locks the vehicle up securely and heads inside. From outside.
So that's interesting. So he's been there before without this SCP popping up. So is it possible that SCPs can like take over something or form out of nowhere just like that? Like what, like you see, you go to the diner every Wednesday, the one Wednesday he's not there, the next Wednesday it's there. Like it just forms, or is it like, or is this SCP one that's like doesn't always attack or show itself all the time? I don't know.
Outside, it's just a calm, quiet-seeming place, a diner like any other in that stereotypical 1950s style. That's part of what the trucker likes so much about Freddy's. It's got that comforting, nostalgic feeling to it, like one of the few remaining vestiges of an era that nearly nobody alive remembers anymore, except from seeing it secondhand in old movies. But despite it looking quiet, practically empty from the outside, stepping through the doors at Freddy's is like setting foot on another planet. The entrance isn't just the way into the restaurant, it's the access point to the trucker's other favorite part about visiting there: the people. At first, it seems normal. There's always a decent number of customers bustling about, talking to each other or ordering from Freddy, the friendly, silver-haired old owner, dressed in his typical pinstriped apron over a shirt and bow tie. No matter if he's in the middle of serving a customer, Freddy always turns to greet the newest arrival with a warm smile and his classic motto,
Welcome to Freddy's Diner, the only place where you can eat cuisine that's out of your world.
The trucker
Literally.
loves how gradually it creeps up on him. Taking a cursory glance around the diner, nothing seems all that out of the ordinary. But looking closer, he enjoys noticing the other patrons and how eccentric they all seem.
Is that guy from Rick and Morty? Is that what I think it is? Hold on, man. Here. Hold on. It is. It is. Nice.
Eccentric they all seem. When taking a
Nice.
gamble on
I
Freddy's
love
and
Rick and
making
Morty,
his
man.
first
That show's
ever visit
awesome.
on another long drive to California, the trucker finds himself convinced that there must be some kind of science fiction or comic book
Again, a
convention
Rick
in
and Morty
town.
reference, man. That's
Then
Ghost
soon
Train.
after, he starts to get a little worried, thinking that maybe he's been on the road too
So many
long
references.
and
I
is starting
love
to
it,
see
man.
hallucinations out of pure exhaustion. But now he's been in enough
Oh my
times
gosh.
to know the folks who pitch
yeah,
up to eat
Marvel.
at Freddy's Diner. Well, the best way to put it is that they're from out of town. Wandering past the
Interesting.
bar, looking for somewhere to sit down, the trucker notices a trio of figures sitting down and enjoying plates full of freshly grilled burgers and baskets of golden fries hot from the fryer. What does it matter that all three are wearing huge, bulky spacesuits with metal piping snaking down them and vents hissing out warm steam? They're just enjoying their meals after all. The trucker finds a vacant booth and sits down on the comfortable leather seat.
If I do miss any references here, I do apologize. You guys can roast me in the comments.
Scanning the diner for Freddy so he can order a coffee. Sitting across from him at the opposite booth, his eyes fall across a
Another Rick and
couple,
Morty?
smiling and giggling to each other as they chat. He's so caught up in their infectious positive vibes that he barely realizes how one of them has had her entire right arm replaced with an intricate cybernetic one, or that the other is entirely blue and has pointed ears. It's just nice seeing how happy they are. That's when a voice that sounds like someone gargling water chimes up, and a sinewy tentacle grabs the trucker by his flannel shirt.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
The patron gurgles.
I got up to use the bathroom for 5 minutes and find some chump in my seat. That's my table, Pipsqueak.
Moments later, the trucker is on the floor, looking up at a creature he's never seen before. In fact, he's not even sure if the patron is human. Judging by the chewing gum head and the disproportionate limbs protruding from random points across its blobby body, it's a safe bet that it isn't. The trucker stumbles towards the bar and asks Freddy for a cup of coffee, a strong one, to wake him up in case he's dreaming. Across his visits to the diner, he's been convinced that all the flamboyant and eccentrically dressed
So
customers
Katana.
are all just wearing costumes, either
So far what I got from this SCP is that it must connect to like different universes then, right? That's only logical conclusion from this. They have all these different characters from all these different universes. Interesting.
for a local convention or because of
Interesting.
an anything goes
This is a
dress
cool
code.
one, man.
But after seeing the patron, the trucker's starting to think that he might have been very, very wrong about this place. Not to be confused with a certain pizzeria populated with quirky
Freddy
animatronic
Fazbear.
characters, Freddy's Diner is a restaurant experience like no other. But if you're hoping to experience its comfort food and unique atmosphere for yourself, then you might have a hard time getting past the quarantine zone that now surrounds the diner, thanks to the SCP Foundation. Technically, Freddy's Diner is still very much in business, although you're not likely to see anyone stepping through or out of the front doors anytime soon. Well, not from this dimension, at least. Before
Hey, I
it
was
would go
right.
on to be known as SCP-4258, the SCP Foundation learns of this seemingly innocuous restaurant 2 months after it first appears. To begin, none of the people that live in the nearby area pay the place much mind. As far as they know, Freddy's Diner is just a harmless 50s-themed diner. Each and every one of them remains totally unaware that their memories have been tampered with, so that as far as they're concerned, SCP-4258 feels like it's always been a local staple, despite only having been around for a few short months. However, some new folks roll into town, and pretty soon the Foundation are getting rather suspicious about Freddy's Diner, thanks to abundant reports of a strange restaurant with weird cosplayers from the newcomers. They send in an undercover agent to investigate, making sure to be as subtle as possible. After all, at this point, there's still every possibility that Freddy's Diner really is just a hotspot for cosplayers and other eccentrically dressed individuals. But if only things were that simple. Inside, the agent is greeted by familiar, nostalgic surroundings. Circular seated bar stools, black and white tiled floors like a chessboard underfoot, a jukebox in one corner blaring out hits from the likes of Chuck Berry and Elvis Presley. Even the menu has all the old classics on there. Thick, frothy milkshakes served in tall glasses, freshly made burgers and fries,
actually good,
the kind
I
of
won't
food
lie.
that fits the atmosphere of the 1950s. The thing that doesn't, of course, is the various, unusual customers that frequently eat at Freddy's Diner. Even without his extensive training in identifying anomalies, it doesn't take the Foundation's agent very long to realize that some of the
weird
people
shit.
enjoying their meals inside SCP-4258 aren't all human. Some are. In fact, most of them do still resemble something close to humanoid. Although upon closer inspection, it would appear that almost everyone in the diner has widely different physiology. Even those that look mostly human on the outside aren't a perfect match, at least by our standards. That's because everyone who visits Freddy's Diner has come from a completely different reality.
actually really cool,
SCP-4258
dude.
isn't your average diner. It's an interdimensional diner.
Interesting.
People from all across the multiverse have made their way to this specific restaurant for a bite. And it's definitely popular with those that visit. Freddy's Diner
I
might
love the
be the
references,
only
though, man.
restaurant that can claim to be multiversally
A lot of
loved,
Marvel, a lot of Rick and
frequented by
Morty
customers
references.
from multiple different dimensions all at once. Some days, you might see little more to indicate this than a few patrons wearing weird clothing, the kind that
I feel
you've
bad
never
missing
seen
on some of
before.
these, though, man.
A sight like that is easy to
Just
write
can't
off
remember
as
them
a
all.
bizarre fashion statement after all. But on other days, when you find yourself enjoying a classically made milkshake at the bar, when a 6.5-foot anthropomorphic slime creature sits down on the stool next to you, then it becomes a bit more apparent that Freddy's Diner is anything but ordinary. And the agent sent to investigate the place by the Foundation quickly gets that very same impression during his first visit. Perhaps in an effort not to get swept up in the wondrous Mos Eisley Cantina energy of SCP-4258, the agent approaches the bar and begins to conduct an impromptu interview in the field. He talks directly with an old gentleman who appears to be running the place, the sole worker and owner of the establishment, the man the diner is named after, Freddy, although he'll later become known as SCP-4258-1. Freddy greets the agent with the same charming, well-mannered demeanor as all his customers, before the agent starts trying to get to the bottom of what exactly the place is.
It's a diner.
Freddy tells him after a quick chuckle.
They don't have these in your dimension, kid.
The agent clarifies that there are indeed similar diners elsewhere in this dimension, although they aren't quite like Freddy's. The owner reassured the agent that he's only kidding, and then delivers the diner's motto, which apparently took him a century to come up with.
Welcome to Freddy's Diner, the only place where you can eat cuisine that's out of your world.
Being
Literally.
well versed in the anomalous and aware of the existence of other universes,
So
it doesn't take
interesting.
the agent very long to figure out that this diner acts as some form of multiversal junction point, a nexus where various different worlds can intersect. But Freddy points out that's not exactly entirely correct, but the agent has at least grasped some of the core principle. More than happy to converse with his new customer, Freddy explains that his diner exists in what is known as Todash space. This,
Huh?
according to him, is the space between dimensions, and the door to
Oh.
SCP-4258 does indeed connect to all sorts of drastically
That's
different
so
realities.
cool, dude.
As the agent takes a look through the diner windows, he notices a change in the scenery. Where there was once the familiar setting of Earth, there is now a wide, sprawling desert that seems to stretch endlessly into the horizon and beyond. Just then, a tall humanoid figure wearing a mask steps into Freddy's diner, wrapped in extravagant robes. Freddy greets the newcomer as Quarelf. He's clearly a regular customer. The agent returns to questioning the old man, curious as to how the diner actually functions, and hoping to gain as much intelligence on the matter as possible for the SCP Foundation. One of the main questions the agent wants answered is, if Freddy's Diner exists between dimensions, how can the customers possibly pay for their meals? After all, even on Earth, there are multiple forms of currency with different competing
That's a good
values.
point. I didn't think about that.
Across an infinite number of entire universes, there's hardly going to be one multiversally accepted form of payment. But luckily, Freddy has an answer, even if it is a little abstract. As he explains it, the restaurant is funded, in a sense, by something called Empathius.
You know that happy feeling you get when you remember something nice or someone compliments you? The restaurant feeds off that. It's what keeps the place running.
Confused as to what
Huh.
he means, the agent asks for clarity. For a moment, it sounds like Freddy's Diner extracts positive emotions from its clientele, like a leech draining blood. But Freddy assures him that it's not quite the same. The diner itself only takes away the excess empathias, the positive emotions, that its customers experience from being there, enjoying their meals and the atmosphere of the interdimensional diner. Freddy likens it to trimming the edges of a hedge, SCP-4258 doesn't
interesting,
rob
yeah.
people of their enjoyment, it just takes a little bit to keep the lights on.
So, this is probably the first SCP we've seen on this channel that isn't horrible. If that makes sense, like isn't trying to kill everyone. Like it says there, like it's not trying to take away the enjoyment. It's just doing enough so it can keep the lights on going. So it's not trying to like use anyone. That's so interesting, dude.
The patrons
The
that
first
visit
non-evil
only
one.
have to feel happiness, and that's the only payment for their meal that Freddy wants. That brings the agent to a final question. If the restaurant takes a little bit of Empathius as payment, then what exactly is Freddy? The owner chuckles and says that he's just an old man looking to make good food. Speaking of which, he offers to take the agent's order. Not wanting to be rude, the agent asks for a hamburger and fries to go. He tries to see if there are any other staff working in the kitchen, but there doesn't look to be anyone at all, save for a pair of transparent hands that place a plate down on the kitchen line. Foundation researchers conduct a few different tests on the food that the agent received from SCP-4258, but their analysis quickly reveals that there's nothing harmful about it at all. It's just a well-made burger.
Looks so good, dude.
The agent is subsequently sent back to the diner to gather more information about it. This time, he's given instructions from the Foundation to change up his approach and speak with some of the customers instead, to see what they think of Freddy's Diner. After all, despite his friendly demeanor, the old man could always be a liar, trying to cover up a more sinister nature to his
That's a good
restaurant,
point.
so he can lure in more unsuspecting people from across
Is that
the
the guy from
multiverse.
Spider-Man, dude? He kinda looks
Although
like
the
a little
agent
bit.
has little reason to suspect anything untoward about SCP-4258, the Foundation is nothing if
Maybe?
not thorough. During his second visit,
Just
the
sweet
agent sits
references,
down
man.
with one of the customers enjoying a meal at Freddy's Diner, a humanoid being whose body is composed entirely of different types of stone. Just from a cursory glance, there looks to be a mixture of basalt, granite, and limestone all over the entity, who introduces itself as Rock. The agent starts by remarking that the creature has a very interesting name.
Everyone on Rock's world is named Rock.
Pushing for more information on the creature's universe, the agent decides to ask if Rock's homeworld has a name, to which the reply is
Rock.
As far as the agent can attain from Rock's fairly blunt description, the stone entity originates from a universe that lacks any life forms with flesh and blood bodies, or squishies, as Rock refers to them.
Squishies.
It also states, with a similar lack of descriptive detail, that its home universe also lacks anything resembling vegetation. There are no trees or plants, which means that the denizens of this dimension only eat.
Rocks.
Very delicious, yes.
The agent submits a proposal to the Foundation for a third visit to Freddy's Diner, writing in his report that his latest interview has proven to be completely useless. Although it does at least provide one interesting detail about SCP-4258, besides all the facts about rocks. It seems that everyone within Freddy's Diner, regardless of which dimension they originate from, is capable of understanding each other. It's almost like a multiversal
Oh,
translator is
I
in
didn't think about
effect
that
within the
either,
restaurant
man.
itself, to make it easier for Freddy and his patrons to communicate. Returning to SCP-4258 for a third time, the agent finds himself striking up a conversation with a rather familiar face. His own. Against the improbable odds of infinite different people across an infinite...
Whoa. I did not think they were going to go this way. That's crazy. That's right, 'cause it's infinite realities. Another SCP Foundation is probably doing the exact same thing. That is so cool.
number of universes in an endless multiverse. The Foundation agent happens to bump into one of his own counterparts from an alternate reality.
Dude, that would mess
And for
me
the most
up.
part, this alternate agent seems to be from a universe that is practically identical to the first agent's. The two men sit down and begin to have a friendly discussion almost immediately after entering Freddy's Diner. After all, it's likely that nobody else in the establishment is as familiar with each other as the pair of them are. The first agent is quick to remark at how strange this encounter is, even amongst his own years of experience at the SCP Foundation. Working with anomalies on a day-to-day basis is strange enough, but interviewing an
Dude,
alternate
that would
version of
mess my
yourself
brain
has to
up
be
if
a
this happened
jarring
to me, dude.
experience, to say the least. The agent tries to establish any major differences between their two universes, asking his counterpart who he works for in his reality. The alternate agent explains that he also works for the SCP Foundation, or another version of it. So far, no differences. Next, the agent asks a more personal question. Is the alternate agent married? It turns out he is. As a matter of fact, they both are, and their wives are not only alternates of each other, but both versions of the couple
What?
have been together for 20 years.
What
Next, the agent asks his interdimensional doppelganger to describe his world in more detail. More than happy to oblige, the alternate agent describes that in his universe, it is currently the 21st century. Most of the socio-economic issues faced in this dimension are the same as this one. Political corruption is rife. There are shortages of essentials like food and water in many countries, along with various other problems. But, the alternate remarks, there are good things there too, like Shark Week. That sounds fairly close to our world, the agent observes.
I do like Shark Week.
Seems like there aren't any noticeable differences between the two. Guess not. Pretty funny, huh? His alternate reality counterpart replies. It is at this point during the interview that Freddy comes over to give the alternate agent his order. A burger and fries, presented in delicious fashion on a plate. Awesome, thanks, Fred, the alternate agent says, before turning to his food. Time to chow down. Then, the alternate agent's jaw proceeds to unhinge, revealing multiple rows of razor-sharp teeth hidden behind the front-facing human set. He lifts up the plate and begins to violently consume the burger and fries he ordered. Having devoured the meal in a matter of minutes, the alternate agent then eats the plate his food was set out on, crunching down chunks of ceramic.
Okay, I found a difference. That's a big difference. Holy shit.
Returning to the Foundation, the first agent later requests to be administered with amnestics. His request is denied. Check out the Dr. Bob Patreon and become a junior researcher today. Now go and watch another...
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Freddy got denied. I mean, imagine seeing yourself thinking, well, first of all, if you saw yourself in like a different reality, dude, first of all, that would mess your brain up. Like, I would be completely flabbergasted. And you just see yourself just like jaw unhinged and just opens up and just clamps down on something. No, that should mess me up. That's a funny ending, dude. That was awesome. That's probably one of the most unique SCPs I've seen, because with everyone we've seen so far, they're all unique in their own way, obviously, but this one wasn't violent, and it connected the multiverse, which is just really, really cool. You know, it's so simple, but it's so cool, and it's different, and I like that. That's why I like these SCPs. They're different. There's not one that's the same, and I like that. This is really, really cool. I enjoyed this one. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did. Again, the original video will be in the description. Make sure you guys show Dr. Bob some love, man. He did a great job with this video, so show him some love. Original video in the description. If you guys enjoy my content, if you guys enjoy my reactions, please hit the like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.